So far on our channel, we've tested many TVs from different manufacturers and pretty much all major models from leading brands. Still, we've never had a Sony on our test bench. Well, it's time to change that, cause we've just spent a week with a 55-inch version of X90J, a 2021 model which succeeds a very popular X900H from last year, which was one of more interesting advanced LCD models in terms of price, features and performance. X90J promises true HDR experience combining high brightness and local dimming, along with Android features, renowned Sony image processing, plus some additional Sony magic and exclusive features. At around $1,300 this model competes with the likes of LG's Nano 90 and Samsung's Q85A TVs, as perhaps the only model with a VA panel in its class. X90J is certainly different from its competition in many aspects, so let's see what exactly Sony has to offer this year in this very important segment of the TV market. Appearance-wise, X90J is not the best-looking TV we've seen, mainly due to the fact that it's dominantly made of plastic, even though we have no real aesthetic complaints. TV's profile is on the thick side, though that's a common thing with most models equipped with an advanced backlight system. The frame surrounding the panel, due to its specific shape, appears a little thicker than it actually is, with a bit of an additional margin before the actual panel. On the bottom bezel, there's a Sony logo, which due to the company's reputation can be considered an ornament, while the stand consists of two metal profiles with two legs on each side, which can be mounted closer together or wider apart and therefore adapted to the width of your TV stand, but also affect the overall aesthetics of the TV. The back of the device is also covered in plastic with a large square texture, which will be a matter of taste, but what we liked a lot was the fact that all the connectors are placed together in a single section accessible from the side for an easiest possible access. In it, you'll find satellite and antenna connectors, a LAN port, composite AV input, digital and analog 3.5mm audio outputs, two USB ports as well as two HDMI 2.0 and two HDMI 2.1 ports, plus a CI Plus slot which is located slightly above the others. HDMI 2.1 will especially be of use to those who wish to connect their next-gen gaming console or a PC, since these ports support 4K input at 120 frames per second. The fourth HDMI also supports Dolby Vision gaming, but according to some information, right now that only works with a PS5 and not with the latest Xbox, so it's not certain whether it will be supported at all for non-Sony devices. Also, we should note that the VRR, or variable refresh rate, is at this moment only a promise made in the specs sheet, and we have no information on when and if it will be implemented. I think the owners of the last year's model are still waiting to get their update. When it arrives, it will benefit the owners of consoles and AMD graphics cards, while Nvidia users will probably not be able to use it since G-Sync is not mentioned at all. The input lag we measured was 17.1 millisecond, which, although low enough for gaming, is not the best we've seen. As for the display, we've mentioned that this is one of the rare models this year with a VA panel. We can only guess the reason for this, but it's probable that the manufacturers are forced to go the IPS route due to the industry-wide shortages. Either way, the VA panel used offers a far superior contrast to any IPS, though with only average viewing angles for this type of a panel, and an excellent uniformity for an LCD panel, with a slight vignetting around the edges, probably due to the way the frame was fitted. The specs for this model rate the static contrast to 5600:1, which is also the lowest value we measured in one of the factory preset modes, ranging up to 6600:1 in the black and white checkerboard pattern, which practically circumvents the local dimming, and shows the black level between 0.057 and 0.087 nits depending on the picture mode, about what we'd expect from a VA panel. Of course, the actual effective contrast is much higher since the X90J comes equipped with a full array local dimming backlight capable of completely turning off a specific zone, therefore achieving a true black. The screen is split into 4 horizontal and 6 vertical zones, which is not much compared to many competing models, though in this case the naturally low black level of the VA panel plays into its advantage. The so-called blooming, or light around lighter objects on a dark background, is visible due to the large size of the zones, and the algorithm that controls the local dimming is not particularly restrictive and prefers to light up the adjacent zone if necessary, rather than focus on improving the black level at the cost of a loss of shadow detail. We have to give praise though to the maximum brightness, which was much improved compared to Sony's last year's models, and which achieved up to 913 nits in our measurements in HDR mode at 9% coverage, and even 642 nits at 100%, which is a respectable brightness that combined with local dimming delivers a solid HDR experience, the kind that not that many models on the market do. The TV comes with 8 predefined picture profiles, which are the same for SDR and HDR, with an indicator that shows the dynamic range of the current source. Beside the standard Vivid and Cinema modes, there are also game, photo and graphics profiles, which are there mainly for use with the PC and consoles, Custom, which lets you adjust everything according to your preferences, and then IMAX Enhanced mode, which looks similar to Cinema mode, but with some additional optimizations for IMAX-enabled content that's available to you, but more on that later. Our subjective impression was that the standard mode was actually visually the best looking one and that it uses the TV's capabilities in the best way, while IMAX Enhanced offers a more realistic look, though with a bit paler colors and only a decent color accuracy. The most accurate colors are displayed by the custom mode with a very good delta deviation of 2.8, which is also the only mode with a deviation under 3, which is considered unnoticeable for an average eye. According to the specs, the panel is a true 10-bit one, though our measurements showed it's able to cover 86.9% of DCI-P3 gamut. Good, but not in line with the best LCD models, which can achieve about 5 to 10% more. Speaking of colors, we should mention that the panel's pixel layout is BGR instead of the usual RGB, which makes no difference for video and gaming, but we did not see any significant influence on text display in Windows either, where it would be usually most noticeable. Now, the thing that is traditionally thought of as the strongest point of Sony over other brands is their image processing, which this year has been further improved with the use of their cognitive processor XR, which is Sony's version of algorithms that involve artificial intelligence and that takes into account the way the human eye perceives things when processing the image. Since this is the first time that we have a Sony TV to thoroughly test, we can confirm that their processing is indeed really good and perhaps offers a bit more options than what we saw from most other brands. For example, the clarity section in the menu, besides the usual sharpness filter, also offers an option called reality creation, something perhaps like Nvidia's DLSS, which enhances the lower resolution content with the use of AI. We can't say it makes miracles happen, but it certainly is a step up when it comes to upscaling lower resolution content, which will benefit many users who watch a lot of low-res TV channels. Also, motion processing is quite flexible, so you get two options, Motion Flow and Cinemotion. The former involves the smoothness slider, which is practically a de-judder, and clearness, which is actually a backlight strobing, especially useful for sports and gaming, as it improves the panel's response time and makes fast-moving objects clearer. Cinemotion, on the other hand, does the frame interpolation for that smooth high FPS display, but with seemingly less noticeable soap opera effect than on LG's and Samsung TVs. Overall, really good processing, which is one of the strongest points of this model. It would seem that Sony's focus when it comes to display is to offer less impressive but more natural look, so maybe that's why you could prefer this model over the competition, assuming of course that's what you're looking for. As for the sound, we have to say that considering Sony's reputation and experience in the audio domain, we have expected more. The 2x10W solution does sound fairly balanced and decent, but the lack of bass makes it nowhere as convincing sounding as we expect from the models in this class. What it lacks in bass though, it makes up for in soundstage, as there are openings in the upper part of both sides of the panel that help create a nice surround effect. As expected, the TV is also packed with sound processing features, from Dolby's to Sony's own, and there's plenty of options to fine-tune the sound like a 7-band equalizer, independent dialogue level slider, surround sound control, etc. There's also an option which tunes the sound depending on whether you're mounting the TV on the wall or on the stand, and an AI acoustic calibration which uses the remote control mic to measure and adapt the sound to the specific room and the position of the TV and the viewer in it. Another thing that absolutely sets this TV apart are its smart capabilities, specifically the Android 10 platform, but unlike anything we've seen before. The well-known Android TV interface has been changed beyond recognition, and we must say this is exactly the thing that we expect from a big company like Sony. The main screen consists of search, app and library tabs on top, and under it are a line of installed apps and content suggestions from different video services, TV channels and local video files. The interface looks much more modern and functional than the vanilla Android TV. Also, the menu key brings up a quick menu at the bottom of the screen in which you can quickly and easily change many parameters or access a full-featured menu which has also been redesigned compared to the stock Android and that integrates all the settings for Android and the TV. The level of sophistication that this was done on is an example for other brands on how to make an Android TV in your own better way. The software optimization is equally impressive, so the interface and all the TV features run smoothly and flawlessly, even though the TV uses the same MediaTek MT5895 quad-core processor that we've seen on Android models by other brands. To be fair though, instead of the usual 1.5GB, X90J comes with 3GB of RAM, and the only disappointment is that there's only 4GB of storage, so for some really large games like Asphalt, you may need a USB disk in order to expand the storage. There's a lot of available apps, practically everything that's in the TV version of the Play Store, and besides all the video streaming services, you also get an exclusive Bravia Core, in which as a Sony user you get a free access to a huge selection of movies owned by Sony Entertainment, such as Spider-Man franchise and a bunch of big titles, as well as some recent hits which you can redeem using points. When we consider that you also get all the powerful Android features for streaming from mobile devices, Kodi and other useful apps, as well as an excellently implemented living decor gallery with static images and animated content, we have to say that Sony offers a valuable software package and probably the best Android implementation we've seen so far on any TV. We wish we could say that the remote leaves the same impression, but its rubber keys are just not on the level we expect in this class, even if the selection of keys is rich enough to allow you to do whatever you need to do. It is functional, but we feel that the remote is something that Sony can do much better. After all, we are talking about a company that made the DualSense controller for their PS5, we know they can do better. All in all, Sony X90J is a very unique model in its class, and for around $1,300 US offers a true HDR display, VA panel with an excellent contrast, top-notch image processing, HDMI 2.1, and one of the best smart operating systems we've seen on any TV. Even though some of the competing models may offer a technically more advanced local dimming, even higher brightness, or a better sound, X90J has its perks which for some users do make it a better choice. Mainly those who, beside 4K and HDR movies and shows, also watch a lot of lower-res TV, and those who simply want a well-rounded TV that offers a superb user experience. So, what are your thoughts on the Sony X90J? Let us know in the comments below. We hope you enjoyed this review enough to give us a thumbs up and maybe consider subscribing to our channel for more interesting tech content. You were watching Bench House, my name is Ivan, and I'll see you next time.